A blacksmith walks into a room full of dragons. He has no crown, no sigil, no family name anyone respects. And somehow, out of every person in that room, a bronze beast the size of a house decides he's the one worth listening to. That's not luck. That's blood. And in the world of House of the Dragon, blood is the only currency that actually matters. Today we're digging into one of the show's quietest mysteries. Not a war, not a betrayal. A woman who never once appears on screen, yet might be shaping the entire back half of this series. Her name, according to almost everyone who's read the books, is Saera Targaryen. And her son might be the most dangerous man in Westeros that nobody's talking about. Let's get into it. Quick refresher, because this matters later. Near the end of Season 2, Rhaenyra runs out of dragons and options at the same time. So she does something no Targaryen queen has done before. She opens the doors to commoners. Anyone with a drop of Valyrian blood gets a shot at claiming one of Dragonstone's riderless dragons. It's a gamble. Most of these dragon seeds, as the show calls them, get roasted on the spot. But 2 of them walk away as dragon riders. Ulf White bonds with Silverwing and immediately starts talking like he owns the place. And a former blacksmith named Hugh Hammer claims Vermithor, the Bronze Fury, the second largest dragon in the entire show behind Vhagar. Now here's the detail everyone skipped past in the moment. Vermithor already had a rider once, generations ago. His rider was King Jaehaerys I. So when a random blacksmith walks up and this ancient, half-feral dragon lets him climb on, that's not random. Dragons in this universe recognize blood. Vermithor wasn't meeting a stranger. He was meeting family. Hugh never announces his heritage with a big speech. He tells his wife, quietly, almost like he's ashamed of it. His mother, he says, was a Targaryen princess. She worked in a pleasure house, and she used to tell him he was no different from her brother's sons, Viserys and Daemon. Sit with that line for a second, because it's doing a lot of work. If Hugh's mother is the sister of Viserys and Daemon's father, that puts her in a very specific spot on the family tree. There's only one Targaryen woman in George R.R. Martin's Fire and Blood who fits every single piece of that puzzle. Her name is Saera Targaryen in the books. Saera is the 9th child of King Jaehaerys and Queen Alysanne. She's smart, she's charming, and she is absolutely done playing by the rules of a royal court that wanted her to be quiet and decorative. As a teenager, she starts a string of scandals sleeping with young lords at court, and eventually her father has had enough. He ships her off to a mother house in Old Town to become a septa. That plan lasts about as long as you'd expect. Saera escapes to Essos and reinvents herself completely. She ends up running pleasure houses in Lys and later Volantis, and by most accounts, she thrives there. No crown, no court, no father telling her how to behave. Just her own rules. Here's the part that connects everything. Decades later, when Jaehaerys is dying and the realm is arguing over who should inherit the throne, 3 of Saera's bastard sons show up at the Great Council of 101 AC to press their own claim. They get laughed out of the room because bastards don't inherit thrones in Westeros. But it proves something important. Saera had sons, multiple sons, and at least one observer at that council noted that one of them looked strikingly like a young Jaehaerys. Now think about Hugh's face the first time you saw Vermithor let him approach. A dragon that used to belong to Jaehaerys, accepting a rider who might carry Jaehaerys' own features. That's not a coincidence the show is likely to leave unexplained. Skeptics might say, sure, that's a fun theory, but does the timeline even work? Actually, yes. In the books, Saera is only 14 years older than her nephew Daemon. On the show, Hugh reads as roughly the same age bracket as Daemon. If Hugh is one of Saera's sons born during her years running pleasure houses in Essos, the ages line up almost perfectly. This isn't a stretch. It's one of the cleaner pieces of book-to-show math in the entire series. This isn't just internet speculation anymore. In a recent interview, Hugh's actor, Kieran, was asked directly whether Season 3 will confirm his mother's identity. He didn't deny the theory. He didn't confirm it outright either. What he said was that the suggestion is already out there for people to dig into, and that more will be revealed as the season goes on. His co-star Tom Bennett, who plays Ulf, backed that up. joking on record that Hugh keeps his cards close to his chest, even off camera. That's a very deliberate answer. Actors get media trained to dodge spoilers, sure, but Boo didn't say the theory was wrong. He said dig around and you'll find more. In a show built on fire and blood, digging around means one thing. Go read the book. Boo has also talked separately about how this backstory shapes his performance. He's described Hugh as someone who has always known about his connection to the royal family and has spent most of his life actively rejecting it. The choice to finally step forward and claim a dragon isn't just about survival. It's Hugh finally admitting, out loud, who he actually is. And according to Boo, that admission comes with a cost. He's called it the Targaryen madness, waking up in someone who's spent his whole life suppressing it. Here's the bigger picture, because this isn't just trivia for book readers. If Hugh really is Saera's son, then he's not a random bastard picked up off the street. He's Rhaenyra's blood relative. He's cousin to Daemon, to the late King Viserys, to Rhaenys. He is just as much legitimate Valyrian blood as Jaehaerys, Rhaenyra's own son who everyone assumes is only half Targaryen because of his father. That reframes everything about how Hugh might behave for the rest of the war. He's not a tool Rhaenyra picked up out of desperation. He's family that the crown spent decades pretending didn't exist. And people who get erased by royal families tend not to stay loyal to them for very long. The show has also confirmed that Saera's actual fate is left completely blank in Fire and Blood. Martin never tells us how she dies or what happens to her in her later years. That's an open door most adaptations would kill for. It means House of the Dragon has room to build out her ending on screen, filling a gap the source material simply never closed. Given her age would put her around 70 by this point in the timeline. An on-screen appearance is unlikely, but her influence over Hugh clearly isn't going anywhere. Here's what I keep an eye on for the rest of this season. Watch how Hugh reacts every time someone brings up legitimacy, bloodlines, or who deserves to sit the throne. Watch whether he starts acting less like a blacksmith following orders and more like a Targaryen making his own decisions, the same way his mother apparently did. And listen closely anytime he talks about his childhood, because based on what the actors are hinting, that's where the confirmation is going to come from. Not a dramatic reveal scene. A quiet detail dropped in a conversation, the same way the whole theory started in the first place. Whether or not the show ever put Saera Targaryen's name on screen in plain text, the evidence is basically already lined up for anyone paying attention. A dragon that once belonged to her father. An age that matches her son almost exactly. A description of her life that fits no other Targaryen woman in the family tree. And now, actors telling us directly that more is coming. This is what makes House of the Dragon worth this kind of deep dive. The biggest reveals aren't always the loudest ones. Sometimes they're sitting quietly in a blacksmith's confession, waiting for someone to connect the dots. If you want more breakdowns like this as the season keeps unfolding, subscribe, and let me know in the comments who you think Ulf's real parent is, because that mystery is nowhere near solved either. I'll see you in the next one.